You ever watch something so absurd, so cosmically unfair, that your three hearts stop beating in synchronized horror? Yeah, me too. Let me tell you about the day humanity proved we picked the absolute worst species in the galaxy to mess with. This isn't propaganda. This isn't some morale-boosting fiction. This is my testimony, my confession, my therapy session. Because I was there when one single human soldier turned our glorious armada into the universe's most expensive fireworks display. Buckle up, this is going to hurt. My name is Vorish, and I used to be a tactical analyst for the Kryllian Dominion's 3rd Expeditionary Force. Notice I said used to be. That's because after what happened at the human colony of New Perth, my career, my sanity and my faith in military intelligence all went straight into a black hole. The briefing should have been my first clue that we were sailing into disaster on a ship made of arrogance and stupidity. Primitive species, Commander Zalf announced, his mandibles clicking with satisfaction. Limited technological advancement. No unified defense grid. Emotional decision-making processes. This will be a simple subjugation operation. I raised one of my sensory stalks. Commander, their mathematics and physics seem remarkably advanced for a species only 2 centuries into space travel. They still use kinetic weapons, Vorish. He laughed. That horrible gurgling sound Kryllians make when they're feeling superior. Kinetic weapons. We phased out projectile technology 3,000 years ago. Sometimes the old ways persist for good reasons, I muttered, but nobody listened. Nobody ever listens to the analyst until everything's on fire and people are screaming for explanations. Our fleet dropped out of hyperspace above New Perth on a Tuesday. Humans apparently hate Mondays and love Tuesdays. I learned this later during my extensive therapy sessions. The planet looked peaceful, rotating lazily in the Goldilocks zone of its star. Population 47,000, defense installations, minimal, orbital stations, 2, both civilian. This is almost disappointing, Zalf said, tentacles drumming against his command throne. I expected at least token resistance. The human colony's response came through on all frequencies, audio only. A male voice, young, with that peculiar accent they call Australian. If you don't know what that means yet, you will. Oh, you will. Good day, mates. This is Corporal Jake Mendoza of the Colonial Defense Force, and I'm afraid I've got some bad news for you fellas. Zalt leaned forward. Surrender your colony immediately, or we will commence orbital bombardment. Yeah, nah. The human actually laughed. See, here's the thing. You blokes rolled up to a military testing facility. New Perth isn't really a colony, if you catch my drift. More of a proving ground. And congratulations, you just volunteered to be today's test subjects. You dare mock the Kryllian Dominion. Zalt's bioluminescent patches flared angry red. Matt, I'm not mocking you. I'm giving you a chance to turn around and leave. Fair warning, as it were. Professional courtesy between soldiers and all that. I ran a scan of the planet's surface. Nothing. Agricultural zones, small settlements, one facility that registered as a standard military base. 27 personnel. We had 200 warships. The math was stupidly in our favor. Zalt terminated the connection. All ships, assume attack formation. Prepare to demonstrate what happens when inferior species refuse compliance. That's when things got weird. The military base on the surface lit up. Not with weapons. With laughter. I could hear it through the communication channels they deliberately left open. Dozens of humans just absolutely losing their minds with amusement. They're laughing, I said. Because someone needed to state the obvious. Why are they laughing? Fear response, Zalt decided. Hysteria before death. Common among prey species. All vessels. Open fire. 200 ships unleashed hell. Plasma cannons, disruptor beams, graviton torpedoes. The works. Enough firepower to crack a small moon. The targeting computers locked onto that base, and we let it rip. The explosions were beautiful. Mushroom clouds rose into the atmosphere. The ground turned to glass. Thermal readings went absolutely bonkers. We just deleted that base and everything within a 10-kilometer radius. Threat neutralized, someone reported. Then Corporal Jake Mendoza's voice came back, crystal clear, completely unworried. Right. Well, that was rude. Reckon that's our cue then, yeah? Impossible, Zalt whispered. Nothing could survive that. Oh, I didn't survive it, mate. I wasn't there. The human sounded genuinely cheerful. I'm up here, with you lot. Every proximity alarm on every ship started screaming simultaneously. I pulled up the tactical display and felt my blood crystallize in my veins. There, floating in hard vacuum about 300 meters from our flagship, was a single human in powered armor. Not a ship, not a fighter. A person, in a suit, in space, waving at us. Hi. His voice was so aggressively friendly, it somehow made everything worse. I'm Jake. I'll be your extinction event today. Before we start, any of you blokes want to surrender? No shame in it. I'm feeling generous. Zalt made a sound I'd never heard before, something between rage and genuine confusion. Kill him. All point defense systems, fire at will. The problem with point defense systems is they're designed to track incoming missiles and fighters, fast-moving objects following predictable trajectories. They are not designed to track a single human-sized target that moves like physics is merely a suggestion. Jake didn't dodge the weapon's fire so much as he danced through it. He twisted, rolled, accelerated in directions that should have turned him into paste inside his armor, and every single shot missed. Not by much, just enough. Always just enough. Whoops, missed. Try again. Oh, close one. Nope, still here. He reached our flagship in approximately 4 seconds. 4 seconds? I calculated his acceleration. It was impossible. The G-forces should have liquefied his internal organs. Humans have this thing called spite, he said. Conversationally, magnetic boots clamping onto our hull. When we get proper angry, our bodies start producing chemicals that make us temporarily superhuman. We call it an adrenaline response. Military-grade combat drugs make it even better. Right now, I could bench press a small vehicle. Deploy defensive drones, Zalt screamed. Jake punched the first drone with his armored fist. It crumpled like aluminum foil. He kicked the second one so hard it shot through space and destroyed a fighter on the other side of the fleet. The third through fifth, he just grabbed and used as projectile weapons against the 6th through 10th. This is a nightmare, someone whimpered. I think it was me. He started pulling apart our ship's hull plating with his bare hands, peeling it away like opening a ration pack. Alerts cascaded across my screens. Hull breaches on decks 5 through 9, atmosphere venting, structural integrity, compromising, all because one human was having a tantrum on our roof. Commander, we need to withdraw, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. We outnumber him 200 to 1. He's disassembling our flagship with his hands. Jake's helmet appeared in one of the external cameras, pressed against the lens. Knock knock. Then he punched through the reinforced viewport of the observation deck. The explosive decompression sucked 3 crew members into space before emergency bulkheads engaged. Jake climbed inside, shook the frost off his armor, and cracked his knuckles. Right then, who's in charge? The security team opened fire with plasma rifles. Jake walked through the barrage like someone strolling through rain, occasionally tilting his head to let a particularly close shot sizzle past. He reached the first guard, took the rifle away, bent it into a pretzel, and handed it back. Littering's bad, mate. Keep track of your equipment. He fought his way through 17 security personnel in about 30 seconds, using a fighting style that can only be described as creative ultraviolence. He didn't kill anyone, which somehow made it worse. He just disabled them, efficiently and brutally, while maintaining a running commentary. Elbow, knee, sweep the leg. Sorry about your mandibles. That's gonna hurt tomorrow. Oh, that's a lovely chin you've got there. Would be a shame if someone... Oops. When he reached the command deck, Zaltan tried to activate the self-destruct. Jake ripped the console out of the floor. Yeah. Nah, not today, thanks. What are you? Zalt asked, all his arrogance evaporated. I'm a soldier, mate. Just a bloke doing his job. Jake turned to look at the rest of us cowering behind our stations. His armor's external speakers carried his sigh. Here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna call all your ships, tell them to power down weapons, and then you're gonna leave. Forever. You're gonna tell every other species out there that humans aren't prey. We're not victims. We're not resources. We're the thing that lives under the bed, and we're really, really tired of being polite about it. And if we refuse? Zalt asked. Jake's armor unfolded something from his back. A sword, an actual honest-to-physics sword made of some metal that made my senses scream in confusion. It hummed with energy, crackling with power that read off the scale. Then I go ship to ship, and I get less friendly about it. I believed him. Everyone believed him. You could see it in their faces, their postures, their sudden willingness to examine the floor very carefully. Zalt gave the order. 200 ships, the pride of the Kryllian Dominion, retreated from one single human soldier who'd boarded our flagship, beaten up our crew, and threatened to work his way through the entire fleet if we didn't leave politely. As we limped away, Jake's final transmission came through. Oh, and mates? Tell your friends, tell everyone. Earth's got about 8 billion of us. We're not all as nice as me. That's when I realized the horrible truth. He wasn't their best. He wasn't their champion. He was just a guy. A corporal. Mid-level military. And he just soloed an entire battle fleet. I submitted my resignation the moment we reached friendly space. They accepted it. Nobody wanted the analyst who'd been right about humanity around to say, "I told you so." Want to know the worst part? Later intelligence confirmed New Perth really was just a testing facility. Corporal Jake Mendoza was field testing their new combat armor. We were literally the training exercise, and we failed. Spectacularly. So you're probably wondering what happened next. Right? Did we learn our lesson? Did the Kryllian Dominion accept that maybe, just maybe, humanity wasn't the easy target we thought they'd be? Of course not. We're a spacefaring civilization. We've got pride. We've got military traditions spanning millennia. We've got politicians who'd rather die than admit they made a catastrophically stupid decision. We went back. 3 months after the New Perth incident, High Command assembled what they called a proportional response force. Proportional. That word should have been my second clue to start updating my resume and looking into witness protection programs. The fleet consisted of 8,000 warships. 8,000. Dreadnoughts, carriers, siege platforms, the absolute cutting edge of Kryllian military technology. We brought species from 17 allied civilizations. The Thex Confederation sent their crystal ships. The Morphid Collective contributed bio-vessels. Even the notoriously isolationist Corey showed up with their dimension-phasing cruisers. I was called back as a consultant. They promised better pay, full mental health coverage, and a guarantee that I wouldn't be blamed when everything inevitably went sideways. I should have asked for that last part in writing. Our target was Earth itself, not a colony, not an outpost. The homeworld. High Command figured if we hit them at the source, they'd surrender immediately. Show overwhelming force, break their spirit. Standard subjugation protocol. Admiral Krenth, who'd replaced the disgraced Zalt, addressed the assembled fleet. We will demonstrate that the New Perth incident was an anomaly. One soldier with experimental equipment cannot represent an entire species. We have analyzed their capabilities, adjusted our tactics, and prepared countermeasures. Victory is inevitable. I raised my sensory stalk. Again, Admiral, their military expenditure has increased 700% in the last 3 months. They've been building something. Defensive installations, Krent dismissed. Predictable panic response. They know we're coming. Sir, the energy signatures don't match defensive systems. They match their experimental armor platform. The one Corporal Mendoza wore. 8,000 ships. Vorash. Even if they've built 1,000 of those suits, the mathematics favor us. See, that's the thing about military leaders. They love mathematics right up until reality shows up and sets the equation on fire. We dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. Standard procedure. Gives you time to organize formation, intimidate the locals, make dramatic speeches about surrender. Earth's response came immediately. Same audio-only format. Different voice this time, female, with an accent I later learned was Texan. This is Major Reeves, Earth Defense Command. You'll got exactly one chance to turn around and leave. Krenth clicked his mandibles smugly. You are outnumbered 8,000 to 1. Surrender is your only option. Sugar, you're not outnumbered. You're in range. Big difference. I checked the sensors. Nothing. Empty space between us and Earth. No ships, no platforms, no visible weapons. All vessels, prepare to advance, Krenth ordered. That's when they appeared. Not ships, humans. Thousands of them. They materialized out of nothing, personal stealth fields deactivating simultaneously, forming a wall between our fleet and Earth. Each one wearing armor similar to what Jake Mendoza had used, but refined, improved, absolutely bristling with weapons. I ran a count. 5,312 contacts, individual soldiers, in space, waiting for us. They militarized it, I whispered. They didn't build defenses, they built an army. Major Reeves' voice carried genuine amusement. Meet the Earth Defense Corps. Every single one of them volunteered. Every single one of them watched the footage from New Perth. Every single one of them is real excited to meet you. One of the humans boosted forward. His armor was painted with some kind of predatory bird, wings spread across the chest plate. His voice boomed across all frequencies. Lieutenant Marcus Webb, 3rd Drop Regiment. Who wants to go first? Athak's crystal ship fired. Webb dodged, closed the distance in 3 seconds flat, and punched through the ship's crystalline hull. The ship shattered. Literally shattered. Thousands of fragments spinning off into space. That was the signal. 5,000 humans launched themselves at 8,000 ships like the universe's angriest missile swarm. What followed wasn't a battle, it was educational. A very expensive, very violent lesson in why you don't pick fights with species that evolved as persistence hunters. The humans didn't just fight. They improvised. They adapted. They turned our own weapons against us. I watched one soldier rip a plasma cannon off a frigate, use it to destroy 3 other ships, then throw the empty weapon through a 4th ship's bridge. Another grabbed a morphid biovessel's tentacle and used the entire ship as a flail against its neighbors. A third somehow hacked into a Corey phase ship and convinced it to materialize inside another Corey phase ship. The resulting explosion took out an entire squadron. All ships. Tactical withdrawal. Krenth screamed. Too late. The humans had surrounded us. They moved in 3-dimensional space like they were born to it. Like gravity and inertia were merely polite suggestions they'd chosen to ignore. Lieutenant Webb landed on our flagship's hull. Again, why did they keep targeting the flagships? Psychological warfare. I realized. Break command. Break the fleet. He cut through the outer hull with some kind of plasma torch built into his gauntlet, crawled inside, and started his march toward the bridge. I watched his progress on internal sensors. He didn't run. He walked. Casual. Relax. Like he was taking a stroll through a park instead of invading a warship. The security forces tried. They really did. But human combat doctrine apparently involves something they call acceptable losses. They took hits. Their armor absorbed damage that would have vaporized any other species. And they just kept coming. Webb reached the bridge, ripped the door off its hinges, and tossed it over his shoulder. It crushed an unfortunate lieutenant who'd been standing in the wrong place. Afternoon, folks. He retracted his helmet. The human face underneath was young, scarred, and wearing an expression I'd come to recognize. Predatory amusement. Let's talk surrender terms. Krenth tried to maintain dignity. The Kryllian Dominion does not surrender. Cool. Then I start breaking things until you change your mind. Webb grabbed the navigator's console and crushed it like soft fruit. That's one. How many consoles you got left? 20? 30? You cannot defeat 8,000 ships with 5,000 soldiers. Wanna bet? Webb pointed at the tactical display showing the battle outside. Our forces were being systematically dismantled, not destroyed. Disabled. The humans were targeting engines, weapon systems, life support. They were neutering our fleet with surgical precision. Current count is 6,400 ships disabled, Webb said cheerfully. We're averaging about 2 ships per person. Some of my buddies are overachievers though. Private Kowalski's up to 7. Show off. I checked the feeds. He wasn't lying. The human assault was coordinated, efficient, and absolutely relentless. They communicated through encrypted channels, coordinated strikes, covered each other's approaches. This wasn't random violence. This was military doctrine. What do you want? Krenth asked, defeated. Peace, actually. Webb's tone shifted, became serious. See, we don't want to fight. We really don't. But every species in the galaxy seems to think we're easy prey because we're new, because we use old technology, because we're emotional, so we're making a point. A very loud, very expensive point. He activated a holographic projector. Images filled the bridge. Human cities, human families, human children. This is what you were going to bombard. These are the people you decided were acceptable losses. We're not monsters. We're not conquerors. We just want to exist without some alien empire deciding we'd make good slaves or resources or target practice. Webb's voice hardened. So here's what happens next. You go home. You tell everyone what happened here. You spread the word that humans are off limits. Period. And if anyone else decides to test that rule, we'll respond. Proportionally. The way he said proportionally made my blood freeze. Outside, the human forces began pulling back, returning to formation around Earth. They disabled 7,943 ships in 17 minutes. 17 minutes. Major Reeves's transmission came through again. You'll have 12 hours to effect repairs and leave this system. Any ship still here after that becomes target practice for our trainees. And trust me, they need the practice way more than you'll need the experience. The fleet limped away. 8,000 ships reduced to floating scrap, and the humans had barely broken a sweat. I spent the journey back writing my report. It was 300 pages long. The summary was 2 words: avoid humans. High Command filed it under embarrassing defeats. We're pretending never happened. 6 months later, the Galactic Council officially recognized humanity as a sovereign species with full territorial rights. The vote was unanimous. Nobody wanted to be the next cautionary tale. I retired, bought a nice quiet habitat on a remote moon, took up gardening, tried not to think about the fact that humanity now had recruitment posters featuring Jake Mendoza and Marcus Webb with the slogan Earth Defense Corps, we're hiring. Last I heard, they'd expanded to 50,000 soldiers, 50,000 humans in combat armor, coordinating with their fleet, their planetary defenses, their AI systems. You want to know the really terrifying part? That's just their military. Their actual military. They've got 8 billion civilians back home, and every single one of them has that same stubborn, relentless, absolutely unhinged survival instinct. So yeah, that's my story. That's how humanity went from easy target to species we definitely don't mess with in less than a year. I still have nightmares about Lieutenant Webb's smile when he crushed that console. That casual, friendly expression that said, I could break you, your ship, and your entire civilization, but I'm choosing to be nice about it. Humans call it being polite. The rest of the galaxy calls it a threat. Personally, I call it the smartest reason to never ever go near Earth again. My therapist says I'm making progress. I only wake up screaming twice a week now. If you'll excuse me, I have to go water my plants and pretend I never saw a human being rip apart a warship with their bare hands while making small talk about the weather. Sleep well, knowing that somewhere out there, humanity's watching, and they're really, really good at it.